Thank you, Ekta, for your humbling introduction. Better introduction is that I'm a student of Arun sir. And this association is very young, just 3.5 decades. At the outset, I apologize for making you wait with no explanation. Respected Arun sir, esteemed scholars joining us today, coming from different parts of the country, delegates, organizers, ladies and gentlemen. This is second time what sir said that the third edition. So I have honor and privilege to be associated in 2 editions of this program. Organizers deserve compliment for choosing very topical theme. That how the paradigm of business and economies are changing, what kind of challenges are there, and how to address these issues and find out a sustainable solution for this. And sir has gone for making my job very easy as well as difficult. It is very difficult to speak after your guru. He has already drawn this sketch, but I will try to fill colors in this sketch what he has created, building the premise of technology, where he talks about changes happening in the domain of technology and how technology-human interface, making trust to be there as a driver. The changes which are taking place these days, technology fueled, are very disruptive, very unorthodox, not having any pattern, very unpatterned kind. Traditionally, what is taught to us as a student of management, that your past should come to your rescue for finding out a solution for today and tomorrow. But the rate at which changes are taking place are leaving us in complete lurch, where nothing from the past is coming to our rescue, leaving us high and dry. This technological intervention, I see it in 3 broad domains, or you may call it the 3 mega trends. One in domain of physical world, the other in domain of digital world, and the third in domain of biological world. The keynote speaker has been talking about all these. I will refresh. How this physical world trend is, where technology is making us to have autonomous cars, 3D printers, advanced robotics, creating new materials, The traditional knowledge tells us that a vehicle would be driven only by a driver. But change in the domain of the physical world says that no, driver is not required. And it is not only cars, even for surveillance, for security, drones are there managed by technology. The role of sensors, that is on rise. And the greater part of the cost of your car comes from this technology domain, comes from electronics. The invention of the new materials like graphene, which is 200 times stronger than steel, and 1 millionth thinner than human hair. All across the globe, we are talking about use and misuse of plastics, which are not biodegradable. But the new material, in the name of thermoset plastics, has element of biodegradability. So what we have not been able to think, things are happening. So is the domain of digital world. What sir has been talking about, Internet of Thinking, Internet of all things. Whatever is there in your cognition and whatever is not there in your cognition, connecting all. Cryptographically certified blockchain technology, creating bitcoins, distributed ledgers, are giving rise to on-demand economy, giving rise to shared economy, and completely changing and challenging the existing model of the business. Earlier, the notion of hiring a taxi was that this taxi is mine. But now you are not hiring full cab. Depending upon your requirement and the availability of time you have, you are hiring one seat in your cab and the rest seats are available for somebody else, making it more cost effective. Depending upon the need of this space in your house, the other parts of your house are available for let out, Airbnb. This is giving rise to ambient computing, and use of computers is so dexterous that you can predict only one thing, that nothing could be predicted. No pattern, absolutely no pattern. This is challenging. This is challenging the existing business principles. Let's look at the third domain, that is biology. Where technologists, they are working in the domain of synthetic biology. Working on genome projects. And in recent past, we had heard about genetically modified seeds for giving better yield. But these are not very far off, where we will have biomimic seeds. These biomimic seeds are that if some part of this country is drought prone or rain prone, flood prone, then the seeds will have capacity to absorb that drought, the impact of that drought or heat or cold or whatever. So they are working on the model of biomimicry. And technologists working in the domain of biology or synthetic biology to say, they are working on a model of designer babies. हम कपड़े पहनते थे साधारण हमारे बच्चे डिजाइनर कपड़े पहनते हैं. But the technologists, they are heading from the designer attire to designer babies. Which means that genealogy, scientists, they have proven that the gene's DNA is responsible for lot many diseases. And they are working on a synthetic biology model that they will tweak the DNA and make the offspring, human beings, completely free of diseases. This may be a milestone to cure diseases like cancer, diseases like heart attack. So where disruption is taking at the rate of knots, you may call it as the fourth industrial revolution. The first revolution is started in mid-18th century with the invention of steam engines. Second, we could see it started at the end of the 19th century, in the beginning of 20th century, with a mass production. Third, we could say in 1960s with the invention of computers. And this fourth industrial revolution, what Schwab-Claus calls, is taking place now, where everything is happening at its own way. And a kind of connect, a kind of a network which is emerging, it is to be handled with utmost care if we want to give a sustainable solution. And these three changes in domain of physical world, digital world, and biological world, these are to be seen together. If we will have a fossilized thinking that the change is only taking place in physical world without understanding that what is the impact on the biology, we may not be able to find out a sustainable solution. If bitcoins would be seen as standalone without understanding that how the human interface is involved in that, we will not be able to find out an appropriate solution. I'll be looking at this point later. So, these changes are impacting economy, are impacting society, are impacting culture, and making encroachment on the identity of the individual. The technology which has added a lot of speed to us. You are away 1,000 kilometers from your family, just with a click of button, in a couple of seconds you are connected, you would see that what is happening there in your home. This speed of technology is not only confined to your connect, this speed has gone straight inside us and challenging the stable notion of the identity of the individual and breeding a different kind of identity of the individual, which we call as fungible identity. Whatever shape, design, color, context comes, we are made to respond to that. So job of the planners, thinkers, scholars like you goes tougher day by day, minute by minute. You have put that what is the impact on the economy. So I will go to look at the impact of these changes on the economy and to suggest that what could be done, and I hope that some of these issues would be taken up by you in today's deliberation. On one hand, economy is giving a very rosy picture. We are very euphoric about the growth. Growth in terms of GDP, growth in terms of investment, consumption, employment, trade, and whatever parameters of economics you take. At the same time, there is centennial slump there in the economy. What sir was talking about, that the trust this centennial slump in the economy in terms of the demand of particular things, what time, you are never sure about it. Therefore, the models of economic development given by Chenery and Kuznets are no more relevant today. One of the dimensions which politicians and policy makers, they have been talking and saying that this is one of the factors to have the euphoric feeling, that is demography. We take pride that in this part of the world, the demography is towards our side, and we are blessed with greater number of the people having less than 35 years of age. You can feed the data as per your choice. But the technology which has added speed to our life has gone for breeding a lot of anxiety. So the demography which is younger is more anxious. And if this anxiety is not addressed and contained and channelized properly, then what we are talking as demographic dividend, this will become demographic curse. Not making any political statement. But whatever we have been doing in name of Kushal Bharat, Kaushal Bharat, Shining India, Make in India, Startup India, I think some connect is missing somewhere. The rate at which we are creating employment or thinking to create employment is much slower than the rate at which this younger population is joining the workforce. And when they join the workforce with anxiety, they want to add speed and wings to their life. So this part of the economy, it must be addressed by the scholars when they are making scholarly deliberations. Then how to address this economy and the changing business paradigm. The second is the productivity. talking about economics and not referring productivity, will appear that person doesn't know anything about economics. Without going into definition of the productivity, the human productivity, the labor productivity is continuously on decline. The contribution of the labor productivity to GDP, even in your country and all across the globe, that is on decline. Because technology is creating a different kind of context. Technology is making things happen at a faster pace, but at the cost of something. And a machine learning professor, Brynjolfsson and McAfee, they look at this from two dialectics. One, that this is because of the destruction effect of technology. That we are creating technology which is adding productivity, but technology-bound productivity, not the labor-bound productivity. So on one hand, your population is on rise, younger population is on rise, but their productivity is continuously on decline. How to contain, how to create a meaningful engagement for that labor, that we have to think about. And in the recent publication, World Bank says that India has to think in terms of creating employeship, not entrepreneurship. And their research says that the rate at which the success of the entrepreneurship is there in India is much slower than the rate at which the youngsters, they are joining the workforce. Come back to the destruction effect. Along with the destruction effect, there is a capitalization effect. Our investment in technology is basically capital intensive, where the huge investment is required. And as we are not able to increase the productivity of the labor, the business, traditionally what was taught to us, that business is all about creating a sense of profit. Business is for profit. So if it is for profit, then the labor would be substituted by technology. Labor would be substituted by capital. But the substitution rate, I think we have to revisit the Cobb-Douglas production function. And we have to trade off between the destruction effect and capitalization effect. How to solve this issue of productivity when we are drifting between destruction effect and capitalization effect? There is no linear solution to this. There is no one solution solving all the problems. There is a curvilinearity in it. Because the advent of technology, on one hand, is making us to enter into the domain of complex problem solving, where cognitive ability would be required in the labor. People, those who are able to cognitize, people, those who are able to think. Sir was talking about artificial intelligence. There you have to think beyond, look beyond. You have to have in-box thinking and out-of-box thinking, both. So the cognitive labor would be paid more. Contrarily, few works would be done by the manual labor, where the payment of wages, that would be very low. So on one hand, the people with a high cognitive ability would be paid more. On the other hand, people with a low cognitive ability or engaged in the manual work would be paid less. And the World Inequality Report 2018, a month-old report, professes that we are heading towards a class war, where only two classes would be there, the upper and the lower, no middle class. So this technology-fueled change, which is apparently giving us a lot of convenience, making us to transcend the time, what kind of the paradox it is creating, I think it is a matter of debate and deliberation. With these two domains, that cognitive ability and the manual ability, the skill sets which would be required and the kind of the manpower we are visualizing, that the people hardly will go for job security. And up till now we have been talking about computer clouds. The days are not very far off where we will create human clouds. A set of people having specialized skills, they will keep on moving from one organization to other organization, from one place to other place, from one country to other country. And when we will create human clouds, on one hand we will be very happy because the emoluments may be more, but the labor rights, job security, and sense of satisfaction may go down. So the ambivalences, the oxymorons, which technology is injecting in this society, economy, families, individuals, are to be handled with utmost care. Karl Marx said that we always will remain in beta zone. Beta, he referred that it's always evolving, never reaching to perfection. Maybe we have reached to that point where we are in the beta zone, we are in the evolving zone. But it has to soon reach to a point of stability. Else, on one hand, the technology which is breeding a lot of convenience, giving more options, on the other hand, it is breeding a lot of discontent. Because the options what are created, those options are supply side options. Those options are not demand side options. And to substantiate this point, I refer to cars available to us now. 3 decades back, we had only one option, ambassador car. And then the small time ladies car used to be their Fiat. उस समय उसको ladies car ही कहते. But now you see that you have hundreds of options available. But these options are not demanded by the consumers. But these options are imposed. So, the dialectics is the market gives and we become receivers. So, we have to think in terms of creating an economic model where consumers are there in the focus. Though there is a movement, consumerism is there. But at the end of the day, it's a market-dominated economy where the consumers are there only to get lured. They remain recipient. Another example is that you watch television programs. Whatever program you watch. You go to news or knowledge or movie. One program is going on. At the right top, blinker is there, what would be the next program? And then one blinker goes, the other comes, it talks about that what would be program on Saturday. वो चला जाता है तो पता है 29 मई को कौन सा प्रोग्राम आएगा. अरे भाई कहीं तो संतोष कर लेने दो. The blinkers are creating a dissatisfaction. Blinker is a metaphor. The market is creating dissatisfaction. So until we have been taught that in economics there has to be equilibrium reached, where the demand meets the supply, but the kind of the changes which are taking place, we are never made to reach to the equilibrium. This is to be addressed. This is to be handled. And lastly, your topic talks about what is there for business. Business is also getting impacted with all these things. The first is that it is not a product or service or the technology which customer is expecting. Rather, it is expectation market. It is experience market. Whatever the product or service or whatsoever you are selling, it is available to customer through many sources what Sir has been talking about. With a click of button to a physical widget. But the customer is looking at the experience. Who is able to make that click easier? Who is able to deliver with a person who says good morning? Who is able to make that payment with much ease? So this is experience driven market, where rules of the business are changing. Gone are the days where there used to be handful of the sellers. Some of them used to be very arrogant. Khareedna hai to kharido, nahi khareedna ho mat kharido. But this experience-driven business model, it is challenging the existing notions. And it is shortening the lifespan of business organizations. The study of Standard & Poor's says that S&P 500 organizations used to have 60 years average lifespan, which has been reduced to 18 years. Average lifespan of best of the best companies listed by Standards and Poor's, that is only 18 years. So lifespan is shortening. Facebook, in 6 years' time, made a revenue of 1 billion. Google, in 5 years' time, made a revenue of 1 billion. But this consumer experience-based model, whether it is asset model or service model or technology model, it is now based on an entirely different premise. The asset providers like Amazon, Alibaba, Flipkart, they don't own any inventory. Service providers like Urban Club, Airbnb, they don't have anything in their possession. Technology providers like Zomato, Food Panda, they have not made any investment in keeping something in their possession. And this is giving birth to a new kind of consumer class, which is called as prosumers, where consumers themselves are producers. And to some extent, we are all prosumers. Facebook has no content to be consumed by us. We create our own content and consume. But they are making money out of it. WhatsApp, this company does not give anything to you. We create and we consume. Instagram. So, this class of prosumers where you are presuming, you are producing and you are consuming, this is challenging the existing premise of business. This is to be brought in when we have to find out a meaningful solution to the business issues. Second, in the domain of business, that data enhanced products are on rise. The data enhanced products that before a snack comes there in the airplane and the pilot comes to know that there is a snack there in the airplane, the CTC comes to know much before. The control room tells the pilot कि तुम्हारे जहाज में problem है. Before the driver of the car decides that the tire is to be inflated or not, a message comes from the sensor enabled tire कि तुम्हारे टायर में थोड़ी हवा कम हो गई है. Before you think in terms of getting your car refueled, your tank gives you information that it is time to get it refueled. Before we think, the artificial intelligence says that looking at your behavioral pattern, looking at the way you respond to this stimuli, you have to take this action. So the data-enabled enhanced products, that is very much encroaching in the domain of business, bringing a lot of transparency and making things more difficult. This is to be, I think, would be addressed by the presenters today. Second is the new operating business model is there. When we were taught economics, the focus was on marginal cost. We were taught so many concepts and formula that how to find out the marginal cost so that you are able to find out that till what you will work for this product, you will keep on selling it in the market. But suddenly this concept of the marginal cost has taken a back seat. And soon academics has to go for rewriting the books of economics. Because marginal cost works with the model that business has a limited capacity. And only with a limited, known limited capacity, you can find out the marginal cost and decide that where cost will match the revenue. But from the marginal cost, we are heading towards the incremental cost, which is almost zero. There is no limit to the capacity of the cabs to be added to Uber and Ola. There is no limitation to the capacity of Amazon or, for that matter, any service provider of that domain, that how many retailers and the consumers could download the app or could hook in to these platforms. So therefore, the new operating model is there. With this new operating model, a new kind of the business paradigm is emerging, which is more platform-oriented, which is more app-oriented. So this is giving rise to app economy. This is giving rise to app business. And again, as this is giving rise to app business, where consumer apparently is given choices by the suppliers, but the whole development is very anthropocenic. So this anthropocenic model of business again demands that the physical, digital and biological world, they are to be seen all together. And now I will come to that what solutions should be given. How do we look at the solutions and how scholars should look at it. Sir has already gone for creating a sketch for that, where he says that the trust is there in the center. To me also the trust is there in the center. And to extend the trust part further, I say that you have to look at mind, body, heart and soul. You have to create a mindset which should be based on creation of the contextual intelligence. No natural intelligence, contextual intelligence. How to respond to a context. Second, that we have to create a heart. Their success comes if we are able to create emotional intelligence, what we have been talking since last 4 decades. The third, that is soul, that is inspirational intelligence, where we have to have a shared perspective, where we have to have the vision, where we could see that all things are interlinked. And the fourth, the physical intelligence, the body part, where we have to think in terms of creating a sense of well-being. So, it is not only technology which is there to be accepted. It is not the technology which will make us to behave in a particular way. We have to create a model where we are there in the center and we will decide that what technology will give and what we have to accept. Unlike that, we get a message there in the WhatsApp, we copy and forward it to 100 people without understanding the consequence and meaning out of it. So towards the end, it's time to look at the Virat of the business and the Virat of the economy. Lord Krishna in 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita talked about the Virat. Before that, he says that whatever you see, whatever you cognitize, whatever you visualize, whatever is good and whatever is bad, it is me. And in 10th chapter, he says that Vedanam Samveda Asmi, Devanam Vasava, Indriyanam Manah Asmi, Bhutanam Chetana, Vishrinam Vasudeva Asmi, Pandavanam Dhananjaya, Muninam Api Aham Vyasa, Kavinam Ushna Kavi, Dyutam Chalyatam Asmi, Tejasvinamaham, Jaya Asmi, Vyavasaya Asmi, Sattvam Sattvatamaham, meaning thereby that among Veds, I am the lyrical Ved of Samved. Among deities, I am Indra, the king of all deities. Among things of fast movement, I am Man, which is close to mind of English, but certainly it is not mind. Among Yadavas, I am Vasudeva. Among Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Among seers, I am Vyas. Among poets, I am Shukracharya. Among games of deceitfulness, I am gambling. Among victories of all, I am the victorious of all. Among the radiance, I am like sun. And whatever you see, it is me. I think herefrom, we get a clue to find out a solution to what is happening in and around the technology, that until and unless we are able to orchestrate the network, until and unless we are able to create a collaborative model where everything is integrated together, we are able to create a Virat business, we will not be able to find out a sustainable solution. Without making a particular statement, we have a Skill India program. How could you visualize giving a skill without giving knowledge? Giving a skill is stand alone without giving the element of the cognition, knowledge and ability. It is something like making a monkey gatekeeper, making a monkey a guard. So responsibility of education is not only to give a skill, but to give cognitive jnana of that. And until unless we see things all connected, we would be developing, rather we would be growing. Lopsidedness would be there in that growth, which is more cancerous. Cancerous is kind of growth, lopsided growth. So we have to have a perspective where everything is growing together, and for that we have to bring network. The time, and now I'm coming towards the end, the time is which is unclear. But a great philosopher, Voltaire, used to say that doubt is very uncomfortable, but certainty is more ridiculous. Therefore, we have to find out the solution from here, and towards the end, I will quote Rilke, a great poet, who says that future enters within us much in order to transform itself in us long before it happens. So it's a time for us to bring a holistic perspective to things, to think that how can we go for creating a connect for all and find out a meaningful solution for individuality, for society, for economy, and bringing a global order. Thank you so much.